a good day so far. So for today, we will be doing our grade 7 English lesson on sentence types. So we'll be doing our grade 7 English lesson on sentence types. And before we start with our lesson on sentence types, we are going to log into aplusstudents.ca. And once we've logged into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we are going to click on language arts. And then we are going to scroll down the different first grade 7, and then we're going to scroll down the different chapters up until we get to sentence types. All right, so the sentence types, right? We're going to figure out or find out basically what sentence types are. And we're going to find out more about that during the course of this lesson. Our lessons are basically on aplusstudents.ca. That is where we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. All right, so when it comes to our sentence types, right? The lesson that we are focusing on today is a sentence declarative, interrogative, imperative, or exclamatory? That is going to be our focus lesson. Is the sentence declarative, interrogative, imperative, or exclamatory? Right? And when it comes to the heading of that lesson, right, there are 4 types of sentences within the English language. So there are 4 types of sentences within the English language. And we have declarative sentence, we have exclamatory sentence, we have imperative sentence, and interrogatory or interrogative sentence. And when it comes to these 4 types of sentences, right, each sentence they serve a different purpose. So they serve a different purpose, right? Each one has their own specific meaning. And also what we need to do when it comes to this specific sentences. So the first one, right, is declarative. And declarative is like it's like basically just telling a statement. It's just saying something, right? That is a declarative sentence. It's like a statement that I'm making. It's like saying, I have 2 brothers and sisters, right? Somebody can choose to respond, or they don't have to at all. Because it's me just telling you something. That's it. And that is declarative. It's like making a statement. Then we have interrogative, which is a question that is being asked. So interrogative sentence, it's like a question that is being asked. Like, what time is it? It's a question. How old are you? What is your name? That is a question. Then we have imperative, right? An imperative sentence is a command. It's a command. It's not necessarily like saying you need to do this now. No. It's just a command by subtly telling somebody close the door. Pick up your clothes. Do your homework, right? It's like telling someone to do something. And then we have exclamatory or exclamative sentence. And it's basically a statement that is being made, but they are showing more emotions, right? And the sentence then ends in an exclamation mark. All right. So remember, we said that each one serves their own purpose. The statement has its own purpose, the interrogation has its own purpose, the exclamations has their own purpose, as well as the commands. So when it comes to statements, right, and this is not a declarative sentence. Declarative sentence, we said it makes a statement. And with a declarative sentence, the sentence ends with a period, ends with a full stop, period, full stop. An example of a declarative sentence is, we own a cat. So we own a cat. Remember, that is just you saying that we own a cat. Nobody should basically feel obligated to respond, right? Because that is just you saying that we own a cat. And that sentence, it ends with a period, full stop, period. And then we have an interrogative sentence. And an interrogative sentence, it's questions that is being asked. And when it comes to questions being asked, right, these questions, it ends in a question mark. So with questions being asked, it ends with a question mark. And then we have an exclamation or exclamatory sentence. And an exclamatory sentence, it is basically a statement that you're making, right? But with the statement that you're making, right, it just shows that you are showing more emotion, right? So more emotion, whether it is high emotion, low emotion, but you're showing more emotion. And this one ends with an exclamation mark. And also, when it comes to an exclamatory sentence, right? If we look at the example, the cat is cute, and it ends with an exclamation point. And then we have a command, right? And a command is called an imperative sentence. And when it comes to a command, right, you give commands and it ends, and we basically make a request. So it's either a command that you're making or you're making a request, right? Either one of those. And with a command, like I said, it is not like you're saying, yeah, you need to do this. No, it is not that, right? It is just things like close or open your book, take out your pencil, right? That is commands. Do your chores. And when it comes to an imperative sentence, the example is feed the dog. And that is a full stop. It ends with a period. So feed the cat, feed the dog, right? That is basically a request that is being made. It's like subtly commanding that you need to free something, clean this, throw out the bags. So these are the four types of sentence. All right, so now we're going to our tutorial, and remember we said we on aplusstudents.ca, aplusstudents.ca, and we're going into our lesson on is the sentence declarative, interrogative, imperative, or exclamatory. And once remember, we said that these are the four types of sentences, and each one serves its own purpose. So the first one is a declarative sentence. And a declarative sentence, it is a statement. And it always ends with a period. It's you basically just telling someone something, and then it ends with a period. And an example of that is the nurse told Mr. Abrams to roll up his sleeves so that she could check his blood pressure. Right? So it's basically just telling someone something. Right? The statement that you're making, the statement that someone is making, right? And usually, when it comes to making a statement, you do not expect a response at all. Then we have an interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence is a question. It is a question that is being asked. And it always ends with a question mark. So if you ask a question, right, then you need to write it with a question mark. But also when a question is being asked, then you basically expect a response. So if somebody asks you like, what is your name? Then you basically respond with what is your name? Or you give your name. How was your day? Right? Now you say how your day was. Do you have any plans for this upcoming weekend? It's either no, I don't have any plans, or yes, I do have plans. And my plans are A, B, and C. So that is interrogative. It is a question that is being asked. And the sentence ends with a question mark. And then we have an imperative sentence. And an imperative sentence, it's a command. So it's a command, right? It's like you're telling someone to do something. or it's a request that is being made. So imperative sentence is a command. It makes a request or it tells someone to do something. And when it comes to an imperative sentence, it usually ends with a period or it ends with an exclamation point. That is if only strong feelings or emotions, right, is being shown. Then only it ends with an exclamation point. And is for this assignment, use references to support your claim. So basically, your lecturer, your teacher is telling you you need to use references to support your claims. Otherwise, you won't get a proper mark for it. So it is you being told to use references. And then the next one is don't drive so quickly in this construction zone. So this is also a request that is being made or telling someone to do something, right? But in this case, it shows strong emotions or feelings. And it ends with an exclamation point. And then we have an exclamatory sentence. And an exclamatory sentence, it is like a statement, but in this case, it just shows surprise or it shows strong feelings or emotions, right? And an exclamatory sentence, it always ends with an exclamation point. And if we also look at an example, right, of an exclamatory sentence, I can't wait to travel through Europe this summer, which means that this person is excited because they will be traveling through Europe this summer. All right. So now, what kind of sentence is this? Whose responsibility is it to wake the mayor when there is an emergency? We need to say which kind of sentence, what kind of sentence is this? Is this a declarative, interrogative, imperative, or exclamatory? So, whose responsibility is it to wake the mayor when there is an emergency? So, which means that that is a question. It ends with a question mark, right? Which means that this is a question that is being asked. They are asking who is responsible to wake up the mayor, right? When there is an emergency. So that is a question that is being asked. And of course, with the question, we expect a response, right? And a sentence, a question, sorry, which is an interrogative sentence, it ends with a question mark. And remember, we said an interrogative is a question and it always ends with a question mark. All right, the next one is please put the chicken fish and vegetables on the large white platter. Please put the chicken, fish, and vegetables on the large white platter. Is this a declarative sentence, interrogative, imperative, or an exclamatory sentence? So please put the chicken, fish, and vegetables on the large white platter. I think it is imperative because they are telling the person what to do. To put the chicken, fish, and vegetables on the large white platter. And this is an imperative sentence, and we said an imperative sentence, it is a command. It's like making a request, it's like telling someone something. And it usually ends with a period. But if the command shows strong feelings, it ends with an exclamation point. Right, so we said it's an imperative sentence because it is making a request, telling someone to do something. How many cubic feet of sand do we need to fill the sandbox? The sandbox. How many cubic feet of sand do we need to fill the sandbox? So how many? Which means that this is an interrogative sentence. And it's interrogative because there is a question mark, meaning that it is a question that is being asked. So how many cubic feet of sand do we need to fill the sand box? And remember also when it comes to interrogative sentence, it always ends with a question mark. All right, so now we're going on to our test. We now need to say what kind of sentence is. So if you look at the specific sentence, it is whose responsibility is it to wake the mayor when there is an emergency? We now need to say what type of sentence it is. So whose responsibility is it to wake up or to wake the mayor when there is an emergency? So this is it an exclamatory sentence or is it an interrogative sentence? So is it an exclamatory sentence or an imperative, an interrogative sentence? And in this case, it is an interrogative sentence. It's a question that is being asked, and it ends with a question mark. So this is an interrogative sentence. Well done. Caribou eat plants and grass in the summer and mushrooms and leeches in the winter. Caribou eat plants and grass in the summer and mushrooms and leeches in the winter. So we now need to say which kind of sentence it is. And if we look at the sentence, right, we need to say if it's declarative or interrogative. So we will then say that this is an a declarative. So basically, this is just somebody telling something, right? Which means that it is a declarative sentence. And it ends with a endpoint. So this is a declarative sentence. All right, so that is a declarative sentence. Which do you think is the most important environment? Think is the most important environmental issue of our time? Water conservation or the protection of natural habitats? So, which do you think is the most important environmental issue of our time? Water conservation or the protection of natural habitats? We now need to say if this is interrogative or is it imperative. So, since there's also a question mark at the end, right? Remember, we said that all sentences that starts with or that ends with a question mark is an interrogative. So we can say, yeah, it's interrogative. Give Jared a tour of the building and then take him to Mr. Sawyer's office. So it's interrogative or is it imperative? So give Jared a tour of the building and then take him to Mr. Sawyer's office. Is that interrogative or imperative? So in this case, it ends with a point, full stop, which means that it is an imperative sentence. Oopsie. Oops. All right. So we said this is an imperative sentence. Yes. And the audience's thunderous applause left me completely speechless. And it ends with an exclamation point. If it ends with an exclamation point, is it an exclamatory sentence or is it a declarative sentence? And remember, in this case, both declarative as well as exclamatory ends, not ends, it makes a statement, right? However, when it comes to exclamatory, it's just that there is more emotion, feeling, right? And it ends with an exclamation point or exclamation mark. So we can then say this is an exclamatory sentence. I couldn't believe how talented those trapeze artists were. The trapeze artists. I couldn't believe how talented those trapeze artists were. So we need to lastly also say what type of sentence it is. I couldn't believe how talented those trapeze artists were. Is it interrogative or exclamatory? Look at the end point. So in this case, if it ends with an exclamation point, then we will say it is exclamatory. Because it's an exclamatory sentence. All right. So now, if we look at our different sentences, so we now need to say if it is a declarative sentence, imperative, exclamatory, or if it is an interrogative sentence. The mouse stole the cheese. Yep. So the mouse stole the cheese. So it's basically just somebody blandly saying that the mouse stole the cheese. End point. So if we were to choose the correct one, right, then we will say it is basically just a statement that this person is making, right? The mouse stole the cheese. It's a statement. So we can say it's declarative. And we add the declarative. Then we have pick that up. Pick that up. We need to say what type of sentence that is. Pick that up is a declarative, imperative. Is it interrogative or exclamatory? Pick that up. So in this case, this is an imperative sentence. Because remember, when it comes to the imperative sentence, it's basically commanding someone to do something, pick that up, right? So it's like telling someone to do something. You are commanding someone to do something, to pick that up. It's like making a request, right? There's no emotion to it. It's just you telling someone that they need to pick that up. Where have you been? So, where have you been? Is that a declarative, imperative, interrogative, or exclamatory sentence? And it ends with a question mark, which means that this will be an interrogative sentence because they're asking a question. Because this is asking a question and it ends with a question mark. And then what a wild ride. So, what a wild ride. And we can say it's an exclamatory sentence. And remember, with an exclamatory sentence, our sentence ends with an exclamation mark. A storm is coming. A storm is coming. Is that declarative, imperative, interrogative, or exclamatory? A storm is coming. So basically, that is just you telling someone, which means that it is a declarative. It is basically a statement that is being made and it ends with a point or full stop. A storm is coming. It is basically declarative. It is you just telling someone that the storm is coming. I gave the dog a toy. So I gave the dog a toy. That is a statement that is being made. So this is declarative. Who made who made this? Question mark. Who made this? So there's even a question mark, right? Which means that it is a question that is being asked. And if a question is being asked, then we can say it's interrogative. So interrogative. Interrogative. Gay. And that asks a question and it ends with a question mark. And do your homework. Do your homework. And it ends with a point. So this is an imperative. It's imperative. An imperative is like you are requesting, right? You're requesting or telling someone to do something. So that is basically the different types of sentences, right, that we wrote on the line based on the sentences that was given. All right. So now we're going to have to circle the ending type, right? Whether it's a question mark or an exclamation mark. Is that your teddy bear? Is that your teddy bear? So we now need to say if that is a question or an exclamation. The sentence. So if somebody says, "If is that your teddy bear?" then we can say it needs to end with a question mark. I have two dogs. I have two dogs. And that is a full stop. Because that is just a statement that is being made. I have two dogs. So I have two dogs. Close the door. Close the door. And we're going to end that with an full stop. Unless with that interrogative sentence, right, the request is, it's like there's a lot of emotion with the request, then we will put an exclamation. But for now, it is an end point. Do you like peas? We need to say what type of sentence it is. Do you like peas? Does that end with a full stop, a question mark, or an exclamation mark? Do you like peas? And it is an interrogative sentence. So this is a question. All right. So remember, there are 4 different types of sentences, right? And we see that the 4 different types of sentences is a declarative, an imperative, exclamatory, and interrogative. That is the 4 different types of sentences. And we see that each sentence, they serve a purpose. So you need to know which one to add or to put with the correct sentence, right? If it's a question being asked in a question mark, which is a statement that you're making, you don't have to wear or put, sorry, a, actually you need to add or to put the comma or the full stop or something or exclamation mark. If you are stressing a point, showing emotions, right, then that is a imperative sentence or exclamatory sentence. So that is basically the end of our sentence on sentence types. You should have a good day further, grade 8s, grade 7s. Goodbye.